I don't know if we're still... They're both gone? Okay. Okay. But I think there was a weird blink on the... let me just go to the page, because we had a weird drop there. The mouse is delayed, and so that's causing... The mouse is lagged, so I'm clicking, and it just shows... Okay. Okay, so I think we're live. I think we're back. Okay, yeah, I think we're back. I apologize for the introduction, or the interruption rather, to the stream there. The mouse that I'm using that allows me to control the radar from in front of the camera is lagging, and so when I try to click one thing, it's clicking several inches away, and unfortunately I think it clicked the stream button, the almighty big red button, if there were ever to be such a thing. So I apologize for that cutting off. Hopefully we can get everyone back here. Let me just make sure that this is shared to all of the appropriate places here, and then we will go forward with our coverage. Of course, what I'll say too, just at the top of this, is nothing has changed since that unfortunate blip. But we are still looking at a tornado watch until 11 a.m. No warnings at this time. No warnings have been published for Ellis County at this time, but I do expect we will probably see a extension of this warning into northern Ellis County, from Midlothian probably going over to the Red Oak area, possibly as far out as Ferris. Excuse me. So we'll have to watch and see if they do indeed do that. What we're looking at right now is this is showing us wind speed and direction. So this will show us where those stronger winds with those storms are moving towards the Midlothian area right now. That's going to be probably the main feature we're going to see. There are no tornado warnings impacting Ellis County. In fact, I think the only tornado warning we have at this time is in Dallas County. I think Dallas and Tarrant and Denton counties up there. And that's a dramatic reduction from the 3 or 4 we had at one time earlier this morning, further west from our area. And this line has generally been weakening. We've been seeing this kind of losing some of its intensity, which is a great sign overall for sure. And I'll definitely take that over the way we saw it earlier this morning. It was just an incredible sight. And I know that this is simply unbelievable for many of you who are thinking, why in the world are we looking at tornado conditions this early in the morning in December? It just doesn't compute. But, we are here. We are covering the best we can. Let me try to... I'm wrestling with this mouse here. So here's what we have moving in, and we'll kind of zoom in on this a little bit. Here's Mansfield. Here's Midlothian. Ward and Mountain Peak is right to the south here. There's Britain, and of course, this is where 67 comes down. 360 is here. This is where they come together. So pretty heavy rain, possibly some small hail to the northeast of Mansfield, heading towards the Cedar Hill area, heading towards Joe Pool Lake, that particular area. And then to the north of Venus, not quite as intense, but there may still be some stronger winds along with this part of the storm as we go forward. Now, the other thing I'll say is that we need to put up another reminder to share this stream, especially now. We had some technical issues briefly before where, unfortunately, we lost the stream that we had. And so if you will go ahead and share this stream, post the link, whatever you need to do, then that will allow us, excuse me, to better be spread out there and get those viewers that were watching before and were lost when those technical difficulties occurred. So if you will give that a share, I will greatly appreciate that. So I understand that there is... a severe thunderstorm warning that will be extended over into Ellis County that's being drawn up right now, so we should see that very quickly, and mostly going to talk about wind and hail. So that wind threat we've been talking about, these strong winds right on the leading edge of the storm, and then the possibility of hail as well. Really, the only hail threat I see is most likely going to be up towards the really the far northern parts of Ellis County, right around the Britton area. So this is possibly a little hail core here. And here comes the severe thunderstorm warning for Ellis County. So we will watch that here shortly. I believe that is until... Let me get a confirmation on that. Okay, it looks like a severe thunderstorm warning for Ellis County, northern Ellis County until 10 a.m. So we'll see that illustrated here briefly. But just north of Britton, that's probably our best shot at getting some hail. Could be some small hail right here in the northern parts of Johnson County, far northwestern Ellis County here. And we'll zoom out a little bit once, because we're about to get this warning drawn up here. I want to make sure that we have that on screen. Okay, here's that warning. So from Midlothian over to Red Oak and Ferris, ending really on northern parts of Waxahachie over to Palmer. So this is where the severe thunderstorm warning is now. Let me go ahead and get the banner up here if I can. Banner that obviously needs to be moved here a little bit. Okay, here we go. Little on-air production, if you will allow it. But here's the severe thunderstorm warning, and trust me, this is a weaker situation than what has been observed earlier this morning. I would be concerned about southern Dallas County with this section appearing to intensify somewhat. But as we watch this section of the storm, we're still seeing some strong winds. We will be watching the southern kind of edge of this storm, as we've seen plenty of tornado conditions in other parts of our area. Nothing here yet, but as I mentioned, we could be looking at this line kind of cycling down, and it could very well cycle back up very soon. If we do kind of a broader look here, really the strongest of this is from southern Dallas County, and we do have that tornado warning up in northern Dallas County, southern Denton County there, moving towards Collin County, and then on up towards the Red River. So we are south of really the most intense part of this storm so far. And we'll have to wait and see if it's going to stay that way. If this southern part of this storm does tend to intensify, we will definitely bring that information to you. But I will say that the tornado watch stops at Johnson and Ellis counties. And so it seems the Storm Prediction Center and the National Weather Service have done a wonderful job of removing these areas. Now, I will say that a tornado watch has just been issued, a new watch, that does now include Hill and Navarro counties. So really all four of the South Metro counties are now included in a tornado watch. So that watch continues until 5 p.m. So the initial watch here that includes Johnson and Ellis counties continues until 11 a.m. And then there's a new tornado watch that has been issued that includes Hill and Navarro counties that continues until 5 p.m. I find that interesting, considering the fact that these are two bordering counties with two very wide differences in timing, and so I'm not entirely sure what all is being seen there, but it could very well be that we're just looking at this line taking some more time to get through this area. It is slanted a little bit, so if you can imagine, as it moves through, it's going to take a while to get through Hill County, because it's not just a due east straight line. It's going to kind of bisect the county horizontally in a slant there. And, so it'll take a while to actually clear the county fully. So that could be what they're looking at there. But Hill and Navarro counties now included in a tornado watch until 5 p.m., as opposed to the watch that includes Johnson and Ellis counties, which is only until 11 a.m., really for about another couple of hours, just under a couple of hours there. These severe thunderstorm warnings continuing, and this is a new warning, of course. This was just issued, continuing until 10 a.m. It's about 9:15 now, so I'm not sure if we'll clear this area of these storms in that period of time, in that 45-minute window. They may be anticipating more weakening, although we are looking at more activity to the south of Cleburne here, more activity west of Alvarado here, about to move into town. So we could be getting more activity developing here. And really, if these continue to be individual cells and those continue to intensify, that could increase our tornado threat overall, because you have these individual storms and you're not necessarily looking at a straight line. When you get those individual storms, that allow those storms to not only feed on that inflow, but kind of create their own structure and mature individually. That's where you get a stronger tornado threat, a stronger large hail threat, these kinds of things. So we will have to keep an eye on this as we go through the next several minutes. Okay, that severe thunderstorm warning for Johnson County has been allowed to expire there. Now at 9:15, and we will kind of zoom into what's happening here. We're watching this section. So really the heaviest of this, moving into Alvarado now. Let's actually put this into motion. Oh yeah, you can see how quickly some of this is intensifying. So this line, the intense parts of this storm kind of moving to the north, but here you can kind of see some of this activity slowly but surely becoming a little more organized. And so time will tell if we need to be concerned about any of this activity moving into Ellis County, but I would definitely say that if you are in the severe thunderstorm warning area, you at least need to be prepared for a pretty intense storm to move into your area. If not, further south, we'll just have to kind of see what some of this southern activity does over the next several moments. And even the section just now moving into Midlothian does seem to be intensifying. Let's take a closer look at this. We are seeing a little more red here, and we are seeing this little tail. So we do seem to be this line intensifying. As I mentioned just a moment ago, we could easily see this line begin to intensify, and that appears to be what we're looking at right now. So we could be looking at this activity beginning to cycle up a little bit, whereas it was weaker just a short moment ago. Take a look at the velocity view. Not seeing any rotation. Well, every time I speak, the radar goes, hold my beer. So just give us a moment here. We do still see, you can see it, at very least the wind changing here, the strong winds that are coming on the front end of this storm. And we'll have to watch this little area just to the west of Midlothian. This is kind of where we saw that little notch there, but we do see just this very small but still there point of some stronger winds. So we will keep an eye on that over the next few minutes, and you'll see my eyes wandering here. I have several screens with different kinds of information right under the radar, right under the camera. I have another radar with a different view here. So I apologize if it looks like I'm looking 12 different directions here. There's a lot of information I'm trying to take in as we discuss these storms. So quarter-size hail was reported in Burleson a little bit earlier. So these storms are capable of producing producing decent hail, severe thunderstorm criteria hail as you go forward. I'm going to take a quick drink of coffee here. I was up incredibly late last night with a sick child, and I was up incredibly early this morning. So if you hear snoring in Northeast Waxahachie later today, that's me catching up on quite a bit of sleep. Let me just do something real quick. Okay, I just needed to check in on something here at home. A lot of things going on this morning, but we do still want to keep watching these winds, and we want to keep watching this area just to the west of Midlothian. And we'll look for, again, the strongest hail signature we have just south of Cedar View here, just on the northern side of the border into Dallas County on 67 there. Not seeing any kind of hail issues coming towards Midlothian at this time. But again, we do appear to see this storm intensifying as it moves in, seeing some more reds there as this moves toward the Midlothian area. So as this continues to move that way, we will keep a close watch on this, and some of this activity back from Alvarado over to Cleburne down towards Lone Willow there. Some of this could be intensifying as well, though the strongest storm definitely is over the Duncanville area, stretching up towards Oak Cliff there. So that's going to be our primary concern. not ours, really, the folks up north. That will be their primary concern there. But right now, the strongest part of any of this activity affecting Ellis County is going to be right there in the Midlothian area. And not seeing anything in chat right now discussing that storm, that is generally a good sign. Overall, you don't really want to be mentioned in the National Weather Service chat. So in general, you know, as you go forward, once the chat starts talking about a particular area, I'll make sure to bring that to you, because that generally means that there might be something to be concerned about. And this warning continues again until 10 a.m. So we have that for another 40 minutes here. This storm is going to continue to move off to, I would say, the east-northeast. It does show to be moving a little bit more easterly, which could increase the wind speeds there. So the main feature right now is that getting into the Midlothian area now, you will be looking at stronger winds approaching that area. It doesn't look like we're getting any hail, certainly no tornado threat at this time, but we are just looking at a strong wind threat for those areas. If you have things outside, if you have those inflatables and those kind of things out front, you might want to bring those in if you still have the chance. I know I just brought in the little Mickey inflatable that we picked out for my son. We got it inside so that won't be relocated. But we will see these winds increasing over northern Ellis County. If you're in this warning, that generally means that this is moving your direction there. Okay, and I'm just checking some of my sources of information here. And we are still seeing some of these cells back behind this main storm. I'm mostly concerned here. I think that as this storm continues to move off to the east-northeast, we could see that continue to intensify, whether that means tornado threat or what have you. Too early to really tell. But we will continue to watch this as it moves off to the east, northeast here. And let me just see if we can get a speed. Okay, moving east at 45 miles per hour. So let's actually get a track on this. Okay, so moving into Midlothian now, looks like moving into Oakleaf in about 10 minutes. Red Oak in about 15 to 16 minutes. Palmer about 25 minutes, Ferris about 25 minutes, and here are your times, and I'm dropping by a minute or two just because these storms tend to kind of start arriving a little bit earlier than this is necessarily indicating. But here's your lead time. This is when you can expect, and I'm going to drop this below Midlothian here just so that, okay, well, that's where it stops. So this goes as far as the Palmer, Ferris, and Trumbull areas. Really in the next 25 to 30 minutes, I would say, for the I-45 corridor. And that will put it right around 10 o'clock there. So it looks like the timing is good for this storm to continue to move through. Now, for the southern parts of Ellis County, it may be some time before this line makes it through your area just because, again, it's kind of at a slant. So it's going to take a little longer for this part of the system to move your way. But at this moment, there's not a whole lot going on. You really don't have much more in our area than this one storm that is moving into the Midlothian area just at this moment. So let me kind of back off the screen here. So here is that severe thunderstorm warning. Here's the track of where this storm is expected to go. And you can see the warning kind of moves a little bit east-northeast as well. This will move towards it's crossing 67 right now. It will move towards 35 and eventually move towards 45. But if you're from Maypearl to Waxahachie to Palmer south, this is not expected to impact your area. So south of this warning, you are not expected to get impacted by this storm, but there could be some more behind it. There isn't really at this time, but that doesn't mean that there couldn't be more going forward. If we take a broad look, I do want to mention that we have this line here. This is along this cold front. There's nothing behind it. So once you get through these storms, you're done for the day. There's really nothing beyond that. And once we get the cold front through, temperatures are going to start dropping. Anywhere you're getting rain right now, it's going to continue to drop. It's going to get cooler, and we will be dropping temperatures through the day. It's going to be pretty chilly by the time we get to the afternoon hours when normally we would be getting our daytime heating. We are getting our peak heating as we speak right now, because once this line moves through and we start getting these westerly winds, we will start cooling down, and we keep cooling down, and we will feel much more like December in the next few days. I can guarantee that. And there's some kind of an announcement about some Great Danes in southern Waxahachie. I would recommend going over to the, I think it's the Way Home for Ellis County Pets or something of that sort on Facebook. That's a much more effective place than somewhere like this. This is really not the best place to discuss missing animals, although I would say at this point, the best thing for a missing animal, or for any animal, is to be indoors at this time. So hopefully those pets are protected there. But this is kind of the main storm here. Let me zoom in a little bit more and kind of take a look at this. This is the main storm now, moving right into Midlothian. And I know you're seeing some of these little notches. We'll take a look at the velocity view, but I don't know that we're not really seeing anything here of concern. I'm not seeing anything that has me concerned about rotation at this time. Strong winds obviously will be a factor, but I don't see any kind of rotation at this point to really be worried about. And yeah, I'm not really seeing much of a hail threat as well. It could be some pockets of heavier rain, but not seeing any kind of hail threat for that area as well. Let me see. Let me get this regular radar up here. And again, if we take a broader view, a much stronger storm moving in downtown Dallas right now, really from Dallas southward towards the Duncanville area, moving towards the east there. A weaker storm, but still a windy and rainy storm, and probably a noisy storm as well, moving into the Midlothian area, really moving to the north of Midlothian. And we will take a look at what's coming for the rest of Ellis County. Much weaker activity here from Rio Vista onto Cleburne and Sand Flat here up to Alvarado towards Venus. Lighter rain. I mean, this is still the cold front, but just not as much activity associated with that. And even when you go further to the south in Bosque County here, off towards Hyco and Hamilton, not too much happening here. So there's just not a whole lot to really pay attention to as far as anything farther south than this line. And, well, there goes the trash truck that I wasn't sure I was going to get this week, so I guess I'll have to miss out on that. They'll be back another time. And if you're not experiencing any sound, you can't hear me say this, but it's your settings. And I think Facebook sometimes will default to no sound, and you have to click a button to actually, or click on the stream itself, click on the video to hear that. So if anyone in the comments wants to help this nice lady get the audio on this stream, I'm sure that would greatly be appreciated. Now, I want to address something very briefly after another sip of coffee here. Something that a lot of you have been asking me about is whether or not you should pick up your children from school, okay? I want to mention a couple of things. One, there was a comment specifically earlier that said, I'm going to pick up my kids because Waxahachie ISD, they were specifically mentioned, Waxahachie ISD does not release kids in the event of a warning. Here's the thing. If a warning is issued, odds are you don't have time to go pick up your children and bring them back home, nor should you, because if there is a warning issued, especially a tornado warning, you don't have time to get out there and get the kids. You don't want them in a vehicle vulnerable on the roads in the event of a tornado. Trust me, the school is much, much more safe than a vehicle that is on the road. So when it comes down to it, you're not going to make any progress or achieve really anything at all by going and trying to pick up your kids when a warning is issued. Plus, odds are, if a warning is issued, especially a tornado warning, they will be sheltering in place. They won't be released anyway because they are staying safe in the building they're in. So once a warning is issued, That's when you take action. That's not when you prepare for action. Okay, that's the way that things will go there. So just keep in mind, your kids are in school. My son is in school. My wife was asking me, should we send him to school? And I said, the simple fact of the matter is, my son's school was built here just a few years ago. This house was built in the 1970s. I'll let you make your own conclusions. As we look at this storm to the north, we see some structure happening here, and I think that southern Dallas County might be the main place of concern here. If we take a look at the DeSoto area, we're seeing a little bit of a couplet here. And if you hear my son in the background, might be breakfast time, I'm not sure. I say he slept in. I guess technically he's making up for sleep because he had us up quite late last night. Hopefully we've got a doctor's appointment coming up soon. But in the DeSoto area, you notice this little kind of, shape here, this little hook. And so southern Dallas County might be, the location for the worst weather here. I mean, we're looking at the Midlothian area. This is moving northward. Seems to be becoming an extension of this storm to the north. And I know we do have some viewers in the Cedar Hill, DeSoto, Lancaster, Wilmer area. So I'll just let you know that be happy this is moving to the northeast from you. Let me just see. Okay, we're just coordinating care for my son here, and we'll go town to town here in just a moment. So what I want to mention though is that we're seeing this structure taking shape, this supercell structure up in Dallas County. So if you're in southern Dallas County, definitely be paying attention. I will tell you that there is fantastic team coverage. Selfless, they've plugged me, I'll plug them. Fantastic team coverage by Dan Henry, Evan Andrews, up at Fox 4. So if you have the Fox 4 app or the TV station, you can watch there. They are doing a phenomenal job. If you're in Dallas County North, hey, it's great. Down here, it's not necessarily true. So I will be keeping an eye for you south of Dallas County, but for those areas from Dallas County on north, Fox 4 is doing a wonderful job of team coverage for that area. So, and saying that you're watching Fox 4 and me, I guess we can compare notes. I've been told that my style is pretty similar to Evan Andrews, and I guess I've watched him enough. I've probably picked up quite a bit of his, mannerisms and that kind of thing. But if we look at Ellis County, things are moving north of you in Midlothian right now, and things are moving out of Ellis County at this moment. We've got some heavier rain in the Alvarado area, but we could very well, and I know everybody's asking about their specific block in Ellis County. We will get to all those areas soon. But if we put this into motion here, what we have is we have this storm moving north and kind of becoming a part of that storm in Dallas County there. This is moving our way, and we'll zoom out just a little bit more. And there's a couple of things I want to show you. For one, we'll be watching some of this development. You see this one cell here that's quickly intensifying just south of Cleburne. May or may not become something. We'll keep an eye on that. But you see ahead of it, this line here, and that could be outflow. And if that is outflow, or that could be the front now overtaking this line, I'm looking on another radar screen. It looks like we could be looking at it could be the front that's actually overtaken some of this activity. And if that's the case, that would explain why this hasn't intensified much, and could be clarifying why we're getting some of this activity over in Navarro County here off to the southeast. But for right now, we'll take a look at all this activity that's not really intensifying much. It's kind of just there, and that really extends all the way down to Hamilton here. Now, just north of Hyco, there's a little bit of a storm, but you'd notice none of this activity is really intensifying much. It looks like the front may have overtaken these storms, and so now they're on the much more stable, cool side of the front. So this cold front accelerating may be what saves Ellis County from further severe weather. I will say that further to the east, and I mentioned this a moment ago, when we get further to the east, there's higher temperatures and much more instability. So take that as you will. And I'm watching the temperature gauge here, the thermometer here at the studio, to see when that upward swing starts to look a little more like a downward swing, to start dropping those temperatures. But this is kind of what we have on tap for Ellis County right now. We will need to cover or keep an eye on some of this activity here, just in case we're not actually seeing, in case we're not actually seeing the front cutting off this activity. But it really does look like this activity could be cut off from this inflow that would make this much more unstable and make these storms much more intense. And I think the evidence of that, let's go back to the velocity view here. So if you can see this thin line here, now unless this is a large outflow boundary, which I'm kind of doubtful of, we could be looking at the front having overtaken all of this activity behind it. And if that's the case, then number one, temperature should be dropping pretty well in Midlothian right now. And I know I've got Matt in my ears. He's in Midlothian. I'm sure he's kind of checking things out too. So, Matt, if you're able to step outside and tell me what the temperatures feel like up there, then maybe you can kind of be our behind the line reporter there for this, whatever it is we're seeing here, whether that's outflow or the cold front itself. It may be the front, because the front is what's pushing these storms through. In Dallas County, it would make sense that we have the front catching up to this, pumping up this supercell thunderstorm. And, possibly, we've got that going all the way up north too. So that could be providing some of the shear that's creating this supercell structure up in Dallas County. So we have a kind of a wider view here. Again, the strongest storm right now is in Dallas County. We have the tornado warning up in Collin County right now. And then this kind of straggling activity that's not very intense moving into our area. Now, what I will say is that earlier this morning, I don't have images to share with you, but earlier this morning, we had, I think we topped out at 3 or 4 tornado warnings at one time. This was much earlier this morning, further off to the west. It does look like we are missing most of this to the north here. So it looks like all of this activity to the south, all of this activity to the south and to the west here does not look near as intense. And I mentioned, I think it could be because the cold front has kind of caught up to this activity, and this could be in much more stable air. So if nothing else, it looks like Ellis County, at least at this point, could very well be out of the woods for the severe weather event. Now, what I would be watching in East Texas, this activity that's kind of developing here, you notice this increased activity. As the front continues to move forward and moves eastward, it will pick up to this activity. The old activity will fold, and this will be your new severe weather outbreak for East Texas. That's kind of the way these things go. A lot of the time when you have these multi-state storms, it's not the same line that has made it across 3 states. You have the old line fall apart and the new line create, and then it's a cycle from there. So this activity here, we have this intense storm in the Dallas area that will likely weaken over time as the front maybe catches up with it and overtakes it. And then in East Texas, where there's a moderate risk of severe weather, a higher risk than here, that's where they're going to be watching for a higher potential for tornadoes later today. That's where all the storm chasers are going and that kind of thing. All that said, we continue to have a severe thunderstorm warning for northern Ellis County that does go another 20 minutes here. It is slated to go another 20 minutes. I will say, though, that there really is no severe weather threat for Ellis County at this time. That has shifted to the north into Dallas County. Any of this activity behind it is fairly weak, just spotty showers at this point. So that really, at this point, is, I think that's pretty much going to be our focus. Now, what I will do is now that we Well, if I can, well, I really need yeah. Okay, so the temperature, so I'm sorry, copy that. What was that one more time? 59 degrees and dropping in Midlothian. I have 72 here. That's a cold front, ladies and gentlemen. And 59 degrees, it's beginning to feel a lot like Christmas, because it sure hasn't lately. And this morning I was drinking Christmas coffee, watching tornado warnings happen, and my brain was just going, this is wrong. This is wrong, right? This is wrong. This shouldn't be happening. But I want to bring up the forecast here for you, because we have much better things coming up. In fact, let me see if I can get the graphics we had here. And so while we have a moment of relative calm, we will, let's see here. Let me get to, I have to go through all of my graphics here. All the graphics are outdated now to get to the forecast, because there's some interesting things happening there. Now, let me say, I'm taking a moment to show you this, to take a break from the severe weather coverage. We don't have any severe weather immediately in our area. You know, we still have the severe thunderstorm warning, but at this time, we actually don't really have too terribly much going on for our area. So just briefly, I want to show you, here's the forecast that we have going on. And this is part of why we're seeing such a big event today. We had this warm front come in. It's warm and muggy. I mean, it's 72 degrees here, and we've got dew points up to upper 60s to 70. You have a strong cold front. That's going to kick up some dust, and that's going to cause these storms and cause a lot of that rotation, that instability. So the cold front comes in, 90% chance of rain. That could very well drop dramatically if we don't continue to see a further development to the south of this rain. We could drop to 50-60% chance, but we will be dropping these temperatures, and we actually have gotten above, the forecast was 65 here. We've gotten above that. We've gotten some places into the low 70s. But it's italicized because we will be dropping temperatures, as we already are in Midlothian, and 47 degrees for our low tonight. So we will be in the mid to upper 40s for our lows tonight. We will be cooler this afternoon for sure. Tomorrow we're only up to 57, overnight 48, 52 on Thursday. Then we start getting into the low to mid 30s. That's plant covering territory out there for those of you. And you get to Friday, Saturday, we're in the upper 40s. Upper 40s and mid 30s. Next weekend, well, beginning of next week, really, Sunday, Monday, we have another chance of rain, a modest chance. And there's a lot of discussion about these models, these long-term, long-range models that are talking about this dramatic cool down for Christmas. There are a lot of people that are saying it's too far out to discuss, but let's talk about it, right? So the only thing I'm going to say on it is that it's possible. It's also possible it could be 70 degrees. These long-term, long-range models so far have stood their ground. But the number of times I have seen those models about face within, 5-6 days of an event, it's happened many, many times. So we warm up a little bit going into next week, and then Sunday, Monday will be about the period of time we have the best idea of what Christmas is going to look like. So be patient. That Christmas time forecast is coming, but I'm not willing to say at this point what's going to happen, because it's long-range models. A lot can change in that time. Right now, though, the cool down is coming, and we will be in the upper 40s by the end of the week. So let's take another look. Let's get back to business here and get back to the radar. And we do still have this severe thunderstorm warning in place. Let's get back to the serious stuff here. We do still have this severe thunderstorm warning in place for this area. And the thing is, though, as I mentioned just a moment ago, we're not looking at any kind of severe weather threat immediately for Ellis County. In fact, I would venture to say this, we could see some stronger winds just on the leading edge of this, but I don't think we're looking at any kind of severe weather threat, and any of this activity behind is fairly weak. Now, I've had someone ask, why is this not developing further to the southwest? This has been overtaken by cooler, drier, more stable air. And so this activity back behind is not really able to develop much because the cool air has moved out ahead of this. In fact, it's probably moving in. Yes, here we go. It's moving in right now to my location. We have 72 degrees on the thermometer here, so we will continue to watch that as that is probably getting ready to drop here. I wish I was outside right now to feel these winds because we are in the 70s now, the upper 60s, low 70s across Ellis County. By tonight, we're in the 40s, mid to upper 40s across the area. But we've had this cool air that you can kind of see a faint line here from Maypearl on down. And so all of this is where the line is. And you can even see that this activity from Oakleaf up to DeSoto is kind of weakening, and that's kind of pulled away. Part of that is that the storm to the north has taken a lot of the energy. But what you're noticing here, I want to show you something. The cold air is about like this. And so this hail core up here, this storm that is in Dallas County is probably about to get overtaken by this front. We're going to start seeing that kind of condense there. And you can see even to the south, this has lost a lot of its structure. The cold front is coming through, it's moving in, and it's overtaking this activity. And what's going to end up happening is off to our east, this is where you'll see the most intense stuff. So when the cold front catches up to this stuff to the east, that's when you're going to see the most intense activity for East Texas, where there's a moderate risk for severe weather. All of this has been foreseen by the Storm Prediction Center. We were only under a slight risk. I think that probably should have been bumped up. But again, this was one of those things, the factors in the atmosphere exceeded our expectations, especially to our west. That happens sometimes. Think about that next time you guys are looking at us saying, you're overblowing the situation, you're making too much drama out of it. There are times when we can underestimate the atmosphere as well. But this activity that's going to move through is much less intense. And in fact, I'm going to ask confirm with the National Weather Service that the Ellis County warning will be allowed to expire. It only has about 13 minutes left. They may just be allowing that to expire at this time because so much of this is weakening. We're losing so much intensity in this activity, and it looks like really we're just going to have kind of a cold rain coming in. And this is spotty activity, so not everybody may get this. So as far as who's going to get this activity, it's hard to tell. We'll have to wait and see what this does to see if this kind of congeals into anything or becomes more of a solid line. But right now it's just a broken line of cool showers that, since the more stable air has taken it over, it's not able to intensify. In fact, it just keeps marching on, and this storm that's in the Mesquite area now may very well be its next victim. As this cool air continues to move eastward, that may very well be allowed to or it may very well kind of be cut down and stabilized and taken down from there to allow East Texas to get their bid. I'm still waiting on an answer from the National Weather Service. They haven't canceled this warning. The National Weather Service is going to allow this warning to expire in the next 10 minutes. And I will say, in the next 10 minutes, this is not really going to intensify much. I think that we are pretty well done with our severe weather threat here. So just one more time, I will see if I can just leave you with the forecast here, just as a look ahead. I wish it would just go straight to that graphic, but apparently I've got to go through the whole all the graphics here. But let's use just one more time. Take a look at the forecast, and I'll leave you with this. We'll go ahead and wrap up the stream so you can get back to your business today. I know working in school is exactly what you want to be doing right now, right? But we have this activity coming in, and again, the 90% chance is going to start dropping. That's probably going to be closer to 50 to 60% chance of rain here as this newly stable air comes in, and we are dropping now. We've dropped a couple of degrees already here. We're going to continue to drop. In fact, I can see the cold front out there. So the cooler air is filtering in Temperatures will be dropping to the mid to upper 40s by tonight, 50s for tomorrow, 40s by Friday and Saturday. A chance of rain Sunday and Monday with slightly warmer temperatures, but we'll be watching those long-range models, all the talk about all this cold air coming in for Christmas. There's still plenty of time for that forecast to change and for those models to adjust and refine. So I'm not making any predictions for Christmas, but I will say it at least looks like we are done with this murky, muggy, gross weather for December. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll continue to monitor the rest of this activity just in case something crazy happens, but I think for now, Ellis County is in the clear when it comes to this threat for severe weather.